Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Firefighters are preparing for a difficult night ahead as they continue to battle severe bushfires tearing through the west coast. Multiple emergency warnings remain, with backup firefighters arriving from interstate. A short time ago, an emergency warning was issued for Zeehan and surrounds, with residents urged to leave if safe to do so or to seek shelter. While a cool change is on the way, authorities warn we're not out of the danger zone.
Raging bushfires that won't give up, forcing West Coast residents to stay on high alert as they prepare to defend their properties.
The fire was probably a K away from us on top of a hill.
Parliament Head's local Susan Marshall in the thick of it.
If you can see behind me, there's plenty of smoke, but we are coping okay.
The community trying to remain positive as they face increasing uncertainty.
We envisage that the next 12 hours until the cool change comes through, it will be extremely challenging.
The fires reaching from Sandy Cape well south to Strawn. Authorities urging those in the area to remain vigilant and prepare for possible ember attacks.
We are over 70,000 hectares, so they've grown considerably, and with the conditions currently we believe they will continue to run quite quickly.
Interstate backup arriving to help on the front line. 20 firefighters from New South Wales, 6 from the ACT and 2 from Queensland.
Currently we're setting up a 100-bed accommodation site at Tulla for new firefighting resources to come into the state.
The rugged landscape, a major challenge for crews, with additional capabilities needed to get more boots on the ground.
These additional resources will be remote area crews and aircraft that can assist in inserting crews onto the fireground.
Mother Nature adding fuel to the fire.
Seen wind gusts of 80 to 90 kilometres per hour.
While a cold front is forecast in coming days, the Weather Bureau is warning we're not out of the woods yet.
Saturday we have some meaningful rain that'll be helpful, but apart from that there's no sign of big rains that's going to really put a stop to the fires over the coming week or so.
Locals urged to remain alert and above all safe. Rebecca Gaidanera, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, there is some immediate funding available to help those who've been directly impacted. Communities in Corinna, Sandy Cape and Pymans River can now have access to financial aid, providing some relief for those unable to return home.
The eyes and ears for those on the ground. Unsung heroes at Burnie's Bushfire Control Centre, busy protecting our state.
We're right in the teeth of this thing now, and our crews on the ground and in the air are doing a stellar job combating these significant blazes.
At a time when Tasmanians are desperate for help, the state government is delivering emergency relief packages, a $250 grant per person, as well as $225 for children, with a maximum of $1,000 per family.
These are to support people affected with matters such as food, clothing, shelter and other essential daily needs.
With the next 24 to 48 hours crucial in getting the blazes under control, the Premier repeating his plea to those in the affected areas.
And again I say, if you are advised to leave, then leave.
While no homes have been damaged, a large privately owned walking hut at Pine Forest Moor has been destroyed, as well as other infrastructure on the popular overland track.
860 metres of boardwalk, an 8-metre bridge and a small platform.
The prospect of cooler conditions and possible rain lifting the spirits of those on the ground.
That'll certainly have a little spring in the step of some when it finally does arrive.
While interstate firefighters are bolstering the number of first responders, authorities warn this fight is far from over.
The campaign fire complex of this nature will be at it for some weeks to come.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
Two interstate climbers have been winched to safety after they became stuck at the top of the 60-metre totem pole at Cape Hauy on the Tasman Peninsula. The pair was stranded after strong winds caused their ropes to become entangled. The alarm was first raised around 6 p.m. yesterday, but extreme conditions kept emergency crews at bay until dawn. After several attempts, the climbers were reached when rescuers were forced to climb the rock face. Despite the ordeal, no one was injured. Federal member for Franklin, Julie Collins, says she's not sweating over losing her seat in this year's federal election. That follows confirmation from Clarence Mayor and ex-Liberal Brendan Blomley that he'll run as an independent.
People actually want representatives to go to Canberra to fight for them. Liberal and Labor don't offer that, and that's what's broken with the system.
Mr Blomley says he will continue serving as Mayor during his campaign run. There has been another delay in the case against a trainee teacher facing child abuse material charges. Damien Brown briefly fronted the Launceston Magistrates Court this morning before the matter was adjourned again. The 44-year-old was charged in October last year after police raided his Riverside home. The former journalist is yet to enter a plea. He will face court again in April. The family of a young man killed in a crash near Oatlands has been reduced to tears in court at the sentencing of their son's good friend, the drunk provisional driver responsible for his death. Lachlan Norton was behind the wheel of his Subaru Forester when it lost control, smashing into a tree, killing Caleb Bowman in 2022. Norton avoids time behind bars, instead given a 5-month suspended sentence. The Launceston man has been disqualified from driving for 15 months. And former North Melbourne and North Launceston player Tarir Thomas has just been granted permission to restart his football career. Thomas will be allowed to play in state leagues, including the VFL this season, as long as it's not for a club aligned with an AFL side. Thomas was sacked by the Kangaroos after a series of legal issues involving claims he harassed a woman. The charges were later dropped. There are calls for Hobart's Lord Mayor to resign after she and senior council staff were found to have breached privacy laws. A report by the state's ombudsman found Anna Reynolds shared Councillor Louise Elliott's personal information without consent to a prominent LGBTQIA+ activist in late 2023. Councillor Elliott had been trying to book a space for a women's rights forum at the time and says the Mayor's position is no longer tenable.
If the tables were turned, I would resign because I would have made such a serious and fundamental mistake. I would urge the Lord Mayor to resign.
In a statement, Anna Reynolds says she's happy to follow the report's main recommendation for councillors and staff to undergo training about the Personal Information Protection Act, while the council's CEO says a public apology was issued to Louise Elliott at a meeting last year. The opposition is committing to a review of Tasmania's Liquor Licensing Act in a bid to prop up hospitality venues and alcohol producers. It's part of Labor's plans to enhance Tasmania's nightlife, but the Premier insists the government's well ahead on reforms.
Workforce shortages, a downturn in customers and high operating costs. Hospitality bosses like Paul Jubb have a lot on their plate.
Our main difficulty at the moment is really staffing, making sure that we can get the entertainment to provide for our punters and that.
The Tasmanian Hospitality Association Vice President also says red tape is holding many traders back from getting ahead.
We have the Sydney Hobart Festival. We open for 24 hours for 4 days, but we're not allowed to have outside dining or drinking after 12 midnight.
And the state's Liquor Licensing Act from 1990 is adding more paperwork and financial burdens for businesses. The opposition saying it's high time it was reviewed, with the legislation remaining mostly unchanged.
This is something that impacts not just the traditional hospitality sector, but a growing part of our economy. So it's important that we engage with everyone.
It's a key part of Labor's ambition to liven up Tasmania's nighttime economy, including low-cost licences for smaller venues, live music precincts and improving liquor licence approval times.
Relieve the burden for us, that's what I'd say, and we'll create jobs.
The last thing we want to have is people who visit Hobart a city they've heard a lot about. They come here, and then it's crickets at 10:30 p.m.
The Hobart City Council confident in how the capital's nightlife is performing, but the opposition leader says it should be doing better.
If Hobart City Council wants to hold back the economy and hold back the hospitality sector, well, I'm the leader that will go over the top of that.
Meanwhile, the Premier insists the Liberals are already a step ahead.
Welcome to the party. We have already undergone work with regards to this matter. They're talking about reviews, we're about action, and look forward to making some announcements shortly.
Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
A well-known charity is marking a significant milestone, celebrating 3 decades of supporting cancer patients and their families. The organisation has undergone major changes throughout the years, but its mission to spearhead cancer prevention remains the same.
From humble beginnings in 1995.
The new phase in the development of cancer research and support.
To running a statewide wraparound service 30 years later, the Cancer Council has helped around 180,000 Tasmanians.
Enthusiasm, wonderful, which has continued, of course, for those next 30 years, and we were very lucky, as we still are nowadays.
In that time, it's grown from 3 staff members to 45 and hundreds more volunteers.
It's the best job I've ever had, but it's the worst pay.
All delivering critical care and support.
We can't change the outcome of people when they come here, but we can change the way they feel about the situation.
It's just feels like you come home sometimes when you come here, and just, you know, even if it's just for a coffee. But the support is fantastic.
When it's not supporting patients through their journeys, cancer prevention remains the heart of its mission.
Going to schools, doing SunSmart. Sid the Eagle for Slip Slop Slap was around 30 years ago, and he's still here today and still a key part of the messaging we put out to community.
To mark the big 30th, Cancer Council Tasmania is asking the community to donate 30, whether that be 30 days of healthy habits, 30 days as a volunteer, or $30.
To donate to the Cancer Council is magic. The people who receive what you give so much more.
Victoria Risto, 7 Tasmania News.
Members of the Royal Hobart Golf Course have voted in favour of hosting a new cricket high performance centre. More than 80% of those at a special general meeting last night agreed to the proposal, which will see 3 ovals, an indoor training centre and administration offices built across 15 hectares.
We need to do some detailed planning to look at the site and work out exactly where we put everything. We haven't done that level of planning yet.
The build is expected to take 5 years as the cricket club looks to move out of its current home at Ninja Stadium.
The opening round of the Tasmanian Netball League will be no easy feat for Crips and the Blues, who will each face reigning champs the Hawks and last year's runner-up the Cavaliers over the jam-packed weekend.
We're not treating it any differently to how we would against any other team and against them previously.
Tough weekend to start with, but I think best way to start, get us in there, see how we go.
Saturday's clash will see Kingston's vice-captain Emma Johns notch up her 150th game after only just missing out on a grand final last season. The Tasmanian Tigers are currently taking on Victoria in a one-day cup at Ninja Stadium. It was the visitors' first to the crease, Sam Harper making 50 from 57 balls before being another victim of Mitch Owen's golden arm with a little help from Jake Doran.
Oh, that's high up in the air. This will be caught by the wicketkeeper. He's pulled and he's gone.
Last time the two met, it was in the one-day cup. It was Victoria who won by 4 wickets with 23 overs remaining. A short time ago, the score was 1 for 72, chasing 195 runs. And that's all I have in sport, Kim.
OK, thanks, Lily. Well, Peter Murphy will join us after the break with a weather forecast.
Good evening. Hobart, Bushy Park, Grove and Ooze all on 34 today to top the list. Launceston recorded 29, Devonport 25 and Burnie 24. Some numbers up by 11 degrees today. King Island and Strawn 30 degrees, Flinders Island 28, Friendly Beaches 27, St Helens 25 and Low Head a high of 23. We did have some clouds starting to move across the state today ahead of the oncoming cold front. We'll see more of that on the next couple of pictures. That band of cloud also headed for the southeast of the mainland. A mid-level band is over central Australia. Zelia, the tropical cyclone, still off the Pilbara coast at the moment. Tomorrow, a series of troughs moving our way in the westerly airflow. A high starts to edge over western parts of the country, and the cyclone is set to make landfall late tomorrow over Western Australia. West to northwesterly winds up to 35 knots over southern waters, and easing will occur during the day as the winds turn more west to southwesterly, 4-metre swells in western and southern waters. We do have a gale warning, that's for waters from southeast Cape to Sandy Cape, a strong wind warning from Sandy Cape to Stanley and from Flinders Island to southeast Cape, and also inland over the southwest lakes. Hobart tomorrow, looking for a shower or two, 50% chance of that, 21 the high, 21 also for Huonville, a shower for Campania, 23 the maximum. Launceston 24 with a possible shower, 10% chance of a shower for Devonport, so fine and partly cloudy, 22, 20 the top for Georgetown. Burnie tomorrow, 21 and partly cloudy, showery for Strawn, 19 the top, 22 the high for Wynyard. And for St Helens tomorrow, 25 with a shower, 90% chance of rain for Swansea, and Port Arthur a shower or two and 23 degrees. Showers more frequent over the west and south on Saturday, snow above 1,000 metres and a cooler day all round. A few scattered showers into Sunday, partly cloudy over the north, and on Monday a fine mostly sunny day for most of Tasmania. Sunny and 33 in Perth tomorrow, a morning shower forecast for Adelaide, a shower in Melbourne as well, possible storms over Canberra and Sydney, 31 and partly cloudy in Brisbane. Pretty windy but still warm in Hobart. It's 28 right now, 25 in Launceston, cloudy in Devonport and currently 21. Gale warning for the west coast. Very strong winds aren't going to help in the fire effort, Kim. Let's hope some rain does.
Okay, thank you, Murph. That is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. A reminder to head to the Tas Alert app or website for any fire updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.